There's one number hiding in Kia's engine lineup that decides whether you end up with a car that cruises past 200,000 miles or one that leaves you stranded on the shoulder before your loan is even half paid off. Same badge on the trunk, same finance paperwork at the dealership, two completely different outcomes waiting under the hood, and most buyers never think to check which one they're actually getting. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which engine to walk away from, which one to demand on the window sticker, and why so many Kia owners found out the hard way, sometimes with smoke pouring out from under the hood on the side of the highway. The engine that put Kia in the headlines. For most of the 2000s and 10s, Kia and its sister brand Hyundai leaned heavily on a family of four-cylinder engines known as the Theta II, built with gasoline direct injection. You'll find it under the hood of the Optima, the four-cylinder Sorento, the Sportage, and closely related engines in the Soul. On paper, it was a modern, efficient engine that looked great on a spec sheet, with strong horsepower numbers and respectable fuel economy for its class. In practice, a manufacturing defect in how the crankshaft was machined at certain plants left metal shavings and debris inside the oil passages that feed the connecting rod bearings. Over time, that debris starved the bearings of clean oil flow. The bearings wore down faster than they should have. Clearances opened up, and the result was a knocking sound from deep in the engine that owners often mistook for a minor issue, or wrote off as normal for a high-mileage vehicle. In the worst documented cases, the bearing failure progressed to full oil starvation. The engine seized while driving, and in a number of incidents, leaking oil made contact with hot exhaust components and started engine fires. This wasn't a rumor or a rare fluke that a few unlucky owners ran into. It became one of the most scrutinized engine defects in the entire auto industry over the following decade, generating congressional attention, federal investigations, and enough documented cases that insurance data and independent mechanics both began flagging the pattern well before Kia and Hyundai issued their first fix. How bad did it get? The first recall tied to this bearing issue landed in 2015, covering a batch of Optima, Sorento, and Sportage models built with engines from a specific manufacturing plant. As more failure data came in, Kia and Hyundai expanded the recall in 2017, and again in 2018, pulling in additional model years and additional models that shared the same engine family. Regulators at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened formal investigations after receiving reports of engine fires, some occurring while vehicles were parked and not even running, which raised the stakes far beyond a simple performance complaint. The fallout eventually led to a class action settlement that extended engine warranty coverage for affected owners, in some cases for the lifetime of the original owner, and set up a formal inspection and reimbursement process for anyone who had already paid out of pocket for engine repairs before the recall existed. That's a meaningful detail if you're shopping used today, because it means some of these engines on the road right now have already been replaced entirely under warranty with a corrected block, while others were only ever inspected and never actually repaired. Kia also pushed a software update called the Knock Sensor Detection System to affected vehicles, designed to listen for the telltale rod knock sound through the vehicle's existing knock sensor and warn the driver with a dashboard message. In later versions of the update, the system goes a step further and limits engine power automatically, essentially putting the car into a protective limp mode to reduce the risk of a full seizure before the driver can get it into a shop. Which Kia models actually carried this engine? If you're shopping used, the models to scrutinize most closely are the Optima from roughly 2011 through 2018, the four-cylinder Sorento from around 2011 through 2014, the Sportage from a similar window, and certain Soul models equipped with the related GDI four-cylinder engines. Not every single one of these cars failed. Plenty racked up well past 150,000 miles with zero drama, especially cars that received consistent, on-schedule oil changes with the correct viscosity oil from day one. But the failure rate within this group was high enough, and the consequences severe enough, that it changed how a lot of independent mechanics and longtime Kia owners talk about the brand's engine reliability from that era. Search any Kia owner forum from 2016 through 2020, and you'll find thread after thread of owners comparing notes on the same knocking sound, the same dealership runaround, and the same sinking feeling of watching a car with 100,000 miles left in it suddenly need a five-figure engine replacement. This matters because the used market is still full of these vehicles today, often at tempting prices precisely because word has gotten around and sellers know buyers are getting more cautious. A seller who doesn't disclose the engine history, or a dealer who doesn't mention whether the recall work was ever completed, can hand you a car that looks clean on the surface but is quietly running on borrowed time. The warning signs owners ignored. Almost every documented failure had warning signs before the engine actually let go. A light knocking or ticking sound from the engine bay, especially noticeable on cold starts or underload, was one of the earliest and most consistent indicators. Owners also reported the check engine light coming on with codes pointing to a misfire or knock condition, unusual oil consumption between changes that couldn't be explained by a leak, stalling at low speeds like pulling up to a stop sign, and in later stages, the oil pressure warning light illuminating right before the engine seized entirely. The frustrating part is that a lot of these symptoms were subtle enough, or intermittent enough, that owners kept driving and hoping it would sort itself out, or assumed a quick top-off of oil would solve the problem. Some owners reported the knock coming and going depending on outside temperature, which made it even easier to dismiss as nothing serious until the day it wasn't. If you're looking at a used Kia from this era right now and hear anything resembling a knock on cold start, even a faint one, that alone is reason enough to walk away unless you get an independent mechanic to inspect it thoroughly before you sign anything. No trade-in value or sticker discount is worth gambling on an engine with this specific failure history. The engine you actually want to see. Here's the flip side of this story, and it's the part most shopping guides skip entirely. Kia also builds a completely different family of engines that has none of this baggage. The Lambda V6 lineup, most commonly the 3.3-liter and 3.8-liter versions found in the Sorrento's V6 trims, the Sedona minivan, the Cadenza, the K900, and the Telluride. These engines use a different architecture, different internals, and were built at plants that weren't tied to the crankshaft machining defect that plagued the Theta II family. The Telluride in particular has built a strong reputation since launch for a lack of major engine-related recalls, and longtime Kia technicians consistently point to the V6 Lambda family as the safer bet if engine longevity is your top priority. It's not a marketing claim. It's a pattern that shows up in service bay experience, extended warranty claim data, and forum reports from owners who've pushed these engines well past 200,000 miles with nothing more than routine oil changes and standard maintenance. The trade-off is usually a small hit to fuel economy compared to a turbocharged four-cylinder, and a higher purchase price since the V6 tends to sit in higher trim levels. For a lot of buyers, especially anyone planning to keep a Kia for the long haul, drive long distances regularly, or hand the car down to a teenage driver someday, that trade-off is well worth it in exchange for a documented track record of durability. What this means when you're actually shopping. Before you get attached to a specific used Kia, find the engine code. It's usually listed on a build sheet, a window sticker if the original is still with the car, or in the detailed vehicle description a dealer posts online. If you're looking at an Optima, 4-cylinder Sorrento, or Sportage from the 2011 to 2018 range, treat that as a flag to investigate further, not an automatic deal breaker. If the vehicle history shows the recall and the knock sensor detection system update were completed, and the engine has a documented clean oil consumption record with regular service intervals, plenty of these cars are still perfectly fine to buy. If you're shopping newer and cross-shopping trims, and a V6 Lambda option is available, whether that's a Sorrento V6 trim, a Telluride, or a Sedona, that engine gives you real peace of mind that the smaller GDI 4-cylinders simply can't match, especially if you plan to keep the car long-term or put high mileage on it for commuting or road trips. It's also worth asking the dealer directly whether the specific vehicle in front of you has ever had an engine replacement under the class action settlement, since a replaced short block resets the clock on that particular risk. How to verify before you hand over your money. Never take a seller's word for it, no matter how confident they sound. Pull the vehicle identification number through Kia's official recall lookup tool or the NHTSA's website and confirm whether the recall was ever performed on that specific car, not just the model in general. Ask the dealer or private seller directly for service records showing the knock sensor detection system software update was actually installed, since some cars slipped through without ever getting the update applied. Have an independent mechanic pull a sample of the oil and check it for metal shavings, run a cold start test to listen for knock before the engine warms up and any noise potentially quiets down. And if possible, check oil pressure readings against factory specification using a proper gauge rather than just the dashboard light. A 5 to 10 minute pre-purchase inspection focused specifically on these checks costs almost nothing compared to the multi-thousand-dollar bill for a replacement short block. And it's the single best insurance policy you can buy before signing on a used Optima, Sorento, or Sportage from this generation. Skipping this step to save an inspection fee is exactly how so many owners ended up blindsided. Protecting any Kia engine, old or new. Even the strongest engine in Kia's lineup benefits from the basics, and even the Theta II engines that survived without incident tended to be the ones that got consistent care. Stick to the manufacturer's recommended oil change interval rather than stretching it to save money. Use the exact oil viscosity spec listed in the owner's manual and avoid cheap bargain bin filters that don't meet factory flow specifications. Direct injection engines in particular are less forgiving of neglected maintenance than older port-injected designs, so consistency matters more here than it might on an older, simpler engine. If you already own one of the flagged models and haven't had the recall work done, don't wait. Book the inspection, confirm the software update is installed, and keep a paper trail of every oil change. That documentation is exactly what protects you if you ever need to make a warranty claim down the road, and it's exactly what a future buyer will want to see if you decide to sell. The financial reality of an engine failure. It's worth being blunt about what's actually at stake here, because the numbers change how seriously you should take all of this. A full engine replacement on a 4-cylinder Kia or Hyundai outside of warranty coverage commonly runs into several $1,000s once you factor in parts, labor, and the diagnostic work needed to confirm the failure in the first place. That's often a meaningful chunk of what the car itself is worth on the used market, which is exactly why so many owners who got hit with this outside the recall window ended up simply trading the car in at a loss rather than paying for the repair. Even when the recall does cover the cost, there's still the disruption of being without a car for however long the dealership takes to source a replacement engine, which during supply chain crunches has stretched into weeks rather than days for some owners. None of this means you should be afraid of every Kia on the lot, but it does mean the engine question deserves the same attention you'd give to mileage, accident history, or title status, not an afterthought you check once everything else already looks good. Extended warranties and what they actually cover. If you do end up buying a used Kia with one of the flagged Theta II engines, look closely at whether it still qualifies for the extended lifetime engine warranty that came out of the class action settlement. That coverage generally follows the vehicle rather than the original owner in many cases, but the eligibility rules are specific about model year, engine type, and whether the required inspections were completed on schedule. So, get it confirmed in writing from a Kia dealer rather than assuming it automatically transfers. A third-party extended warranty is not the same thing, and often carries exclusions for exactly the kind of internal engine damage this recall was designed to address. So read the fine print carefully before treating an aftermarket warranty as a safety net. The factory-backed settlement coverage, where it still applies, is generally the far stronger protection, and it costs you nothing extra to confirm before you buy. Test driving with the engine in mind. A proper test drive for one of these cars looks a little different than your average used car walk-around. Start the engine cold, if at all possible, before the seller has had a chance to warm it up ahead of your arrival, since a warm engine can mask the exact knocking sound you're listening for. Let it idle for a solid minute with the radio off and your window down, and pay attention to any rhythmic tapping or knocking that changes with engine speed rather than staying constant like normal valve train noise. Once you're driving, accelerate firmly from a stop and listen again under load, since some of these bearing issues only reveal themselves once the engine is actually working rather than just idling in a parking lot. Check the oil dipstick yourself before you leave. Note the color and level, and if it looks low, dark, or gritty, treat that as a red flag worth walking away from rather than something you can sort out after the purchase. The bottom line. Kia isn't a brand you need to avoid outright, but the badge alone tells you nothing about what's actually going to happen to the engine at 120,000 miles. The Theta II GDI 4-cylinder carries a documented history of bearing failures, recalls, and in the worst cases, engine fires, and it shows up in a huge number of used Optimas, Sorrentos, and Sportages still on the road today. The Lambda V6 family, on the other hand, has earned a genuinely strong reputation for durability with none of that baggage. Check the engine code, verify the recall history through official channels, get a cold start listen before you buy, and demand documentation rather than a verbal promise. None of these steps take more than a few minutes, and every single one of them is free, which makes skipping them one of the most avoidable mistakes a used car buyer can make. Do that, and you'll walk away with a Kia that has a real shot at outlasting the loan instead of the other way around. Whether that ends up being a well-documented 4-cylinder with a clean history, or one of the V6 Lambda engines that never had this problem in the first place. If this kind of breakdown helps you shop smarter, subscribe for more deep dives on which engines, trims, and features are actually worth your money.